Morning everyone, welcome to the shop. Unfortunately, we live in an era where pretty much everything needs updating, and that includes your car because of German reasons. BMWs in particular, but most German cars seem to be built with an ethos that nothing will ever age. And as things do age, they stop working quite as well, and the car needs to be updated to account for changes in the way that sensors report as they get older. This was a real nasty issue with a lot of E46s. By the time they hit about 80,000 miles, they'd just start getting check engine lights. Nothing would actually be wrong, sensors would just not be reporting the same as they did when they were new, and the programming didn't take this into account. There were something like 17 revisions to the E46's DME alone. My E90 has probably never been updated in its life, so it's time to do that, and what I have for that job is quite possibly the thickest boy that you've ever seen. This is a Panasonic Toughbook, probably one of the most well-known rugged laptops ever. I remember seeing these in Popular Science when they came out with this model, the CF30. These are mostly known for their use by the US military and other militaries across the world because these things are next level durable. Throw them in water, run them over with a car, whatever, they just kind of keep working. This one's from the Windows XP era, so this is the one that I would have read about when I was a kid. And it's in shockingly good shape. These aren't really worth a whole lot anymore, especially these early CF30s. This has a an Intel Core Duo, not a Core 2 Duo, but a Core Duo. Windows XP, look at this. You've got a over center latch to open it up, and BAM! Look at that. Weirdly small keyboard, really small trackpad, Windows XP, and a stylus because of reasons. This thing actually converts into a tablet if you want to. Hit the release button, give it a spin, and then you can latch it back down, and you have yourself,
the world's thickest iPad.
Thick. But one thing that this is good at, because of the litany of ports on it, all with nice watertight seals around them, it's really good for diagnostics. Car, truck, whatever. Especially since it runs Windows XP, so it's running the correct operating system to run the BMW diagnostic software. So I could just sign right in here, plug in a diagnostic cable, and do all my updating on a very rugged machine that isn't going to have issues. And it's period correct. This is what the techs probably would have been using. You can spend like $4,000 online for a laptop that's preloaded with dealer software, or you can do it yourself, which is questionable legality. So I'm going to go ahead and get WinFKP loaded up, and we're going to get some modules updating on my E90. Is what I would say if I actually had the software installed on here. I didn't get around to it, so instead we're going to do something different involving spending lots and lots and lots of money. Fortunately though, it's not my money. This is the modern equivalent of that. It's an Android tablet with rubber baby buggy bumpers. Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Nobody can ever say that.
It's a Maxitel IM608 Elite, I think. I don't know if this is
608 Pro, I think.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's the good one. So we're just going to plug this in, and we're going to hit go, more or less, and this is going to go through and update every single module on the car. DME, sunroof module, security system, I don't know. All of it. It's going to update all of it. And because I have actually had, this is at about 100 and, what am I at, 112,000? I put like 5,000 miles on this car already, and they've been fantastic. But cold start, first starts, sometimes idle's a little bit lumpy, never throws any codes, the readings never look weird. I attribute that to the modules being out of date because I actually had a friend who came by recently with an E46 that was throwing codes, idling terrible, and it had a nasty miss. It felt like a miss on the highway. All I did was update his DME to the latest software, and it solved every single one of those issues. And he got me a case of beer in payment, which was really awkward when I realized he was a recovering alcoholic. That is a true story. Awkward. So we're gonna do that. Also, we're gonna delete the clutch delay valve because they're terrible. So one thing that's kind of important to do here is make sure that the headlights are turned off, first of all, because those draw a lot of current, but also you'll need battery tenders hooked up. I've got 2 of the stupid things to keep this thing at the, what is it, 12 volts? It has to be at 12 volts.
It wants 11.2 to actually do the update. Otherwise, it'll just, all it'll give you is like a back out escape. Yeah, ideally you want a battery tender that's meant for ME updating.
The ones that are actually intended for this keep the car at about 13 to 14 volts, but 12 is fine too. And even if you have a strong battery that's sitting at like 12 and a half, just with this minor draw on it, you're still going to want these because this takes forever, and you could very easily brick your MEs if, you know, the voltage sags too much while it's doing all this stuff. Yeah, we've actually already done this. And then I was like, oh wait, I meant to make a video on this. Oops. It's been a long day.
We'll do selective update. And then, so this, the Autel will usually just tell you everything that it has available to update. One thing we're not really going to mess with is the gateway or the footwell module. Footwell modules are really well known on the E90 chassis, above most of them, for lots of data corruption. So we're not going to screw with that since yours is working just fine. So these are all your option codes here, which is pretty cool. It pulls your paint code, upholstery, all sorts of good stuff. Pulls everything from it.
And is it pulling this out of the modules, or is it referencing an online database for all that?
So we'll go ahead and hit execute measures plan. It gives you a warning about the CAS. That's why we're not. Why we're not screwing with it.
It actually tells you. That's amazing.
Due to the hardware defects of the CAS modules, probability of programming failure with these modules is extremely high. So unless you have a problem, don't screw with it.
Interesting.
You do have to be connected to the internet because it's actually going to download the updates, and then it'll pull all of your updates.
So we got the. Real sad I didn't get that on camera. Okay, the updating is all. Wait a minute, I'll do a The updating's all done now. Tyler. Oh no, it just not that one.
What?
The one under the trans.
Oh.
So anyway, Tyler's undoing the engine trays because my back is severely hurting today, and we're gonna get at this clutch delay valve.
And because I put Jake in timeout.
Yeah, he won't let me work on things when I'm hurting. Are these steel toes?
Yes, they are.
Ow.
Here is the clutch delay valve. It's a it's basically just like an orifice.
It's a valve that delays the clutch.
Yeah, what he said.
Makes the car drive like shit, but Elliot Alvis likes it for some reason, and he's wrong.
Yeah, Elliot's wrong. I agree. So basically, what this does is it's more for like comfort and drivability. It delays.
It's so that you can't dump the clutch. That's its only purpose. It's so that if your foot slips off the clutch at high revs, it slows the release of the actual clutch. But what that ends up doing, if you know how to drive and you're not an idiot who's dumping the clutch, is you push the clutch, and there's a little delay when it does what you want it to do. And if you release the clutch a little bit, there's a little delay before it does what you want to do. So that feedback loop of trying to find the bite point has a bunch of delays in it. You keep overshooting what you meant to do. And it really just makes you drive jerky as heck. It is so difficult to manage a car with this clutch delay valve in place. One of the first things I did on my E46 was take it out, and it was like a screw-in type, and this is like a clip-in type. And my back hurts, so I'm going to stand up now.
All this has is just 2 little metal clips. Pop both of those out. I'm going to pop this bracket off, and then and then take this line, plug it into the slave cylinder, and put a clip back in, and then we're deleted.
I really wish I'd started recording like 2 seconds earlier.
Son of a...
What happened?
Oh,
did the pick slip and stab you?
It sure did.
That is a thing that happens.
It hurts. A little bit of blood. Hope nobody's...
The BMW demands a sacrifice.
I reevaluated what I was doing here. So we pulled that clutch delay valve, that little doohickey there, and retained this little loop of line and the bracket, and all we did was just remove that in between. I'm getting ready to throw this clip back on, and then we'll bleed it, which is a pretty simple procedure. So we reevaluated for like the 4th time here because, well, we're YouTube mechanics, but we're also
make up your mind.
we're YouTube mechanics, but we're also not YouTube mechanics.
We're all
So the clips don't fit properly on the actual soft clutch line. Focus. I know I have that problem too. It's fine. So the soft line for the clutch, the fitting didn't fit in the other hard line there, the little loop-de-loop, and the clip wouldn't go in. So I went ahead and took that out. I just slightly bent the hard line for the clutch coming off of the master cylinder and brought it over here, plugged it in. I'm going to throw this clip in. Hopefully that works and it's meant. And then we'll bleed.
Pump it. Nothing's happening. Well, as it turns out, the move was to reverse bleed to get 90% of the air out and then do a proper bleed because the line was just completely air. But here's the clutch delay valve. You can kind of see how big it's supposed to be, and you can see how tiny the hole in there is. So that hole basically
delays the clutch.
Yeah, it delays the clutch. The hydraulic fluid is forced through that tiny little orifice, and it has to work against the return spring, or yeah, well, the clutch springs to release the clutch, which delays and slows down that action, and it can be kind of baffling if you're used to driving stick. This is also the first time that I've bled the clutch, and oh my gosh, did it need it. The clutch feels amazing now, and I'm really excited to go drive this thing. It's gonna have to relearn its adaptations and such, so it's gonna drive like absolute trash, but we're gonna go to the bar, and hopefully the adaptations sort themselves out on the way there, and then on the way back I get to see how my car actually is. Alright, it's the next morning. Let's see how this thing starts up and drives with updated modules and a deleted clutch delay valve. Very smooth cold start idle. Clutch feels way different. I'm not sure if that's entirely because of delay valve or if there was some air in the line. Wow, I can shift it so much smoother now without even thinking. So that's kind of the thing about the clutch delay valve, is that because the clutch it's not moving one-to-one with your foot, it kind of throws your intuition about how to drive stick out the window, because, you know, the movements that you intuit would make the car drive a certain way don't do that anymore. It's not like a subjective thing, it just objectively ruins manual shifting, because the idea is to have more control of the car, so when it obfuscates one of the... Oops. Yeah, the heel toe down shifts are a whole lot smoother as well. Let's see how this thing feels under acceleration. Strong. Say it feels a little bit faster, maybe just smoother, but it feels good. I definitely don't see any downsides to doing this. If you have the ability to update the modules in your car, you definitely should. You don't know what sort of bug fixes or fuel economy improvements they might have found. Teslas aren't the only cars that can be improved through a software update. And they're not the only company that's looking to improve products that they've already released either. So there we go. That was updating all the modules as well as deleting the clutch delay valve in my E92. So this thing's really coming along. Only thing left now is I still need to do 3-stage intake manifold, and I think this thing needs motor mounts. So check back in later when I hopefully do that. I've got the 3-stage intake manifold over there, and I have rebuild kits for the DISA valves. So.
And motor mounts.
And motor mounts. I have all the stuff to do that. I just need to actually do it. I couldn't even do this, though, because my back is too messed up. So, yeah, I'm going to go buy him some beer. Thanks for watching.